in this routine for a number of years, being the original chairman and still in place. Let's go around the table, and we'll start on my left and introduce yourself to the camera and the audience.
I'm Art Downey. I coach the Edina High School boys swim team.
Jeff Mace, Edina High School girls coach.
Chris Arseth, Minneapolis, in the True Teen meet measure.
Tom Walsh, Wilmington Kennedy.
Oh my gosh.
Can you zoom?
Dale Magnuson, Rochester Century and Girls Association President.
Katie Haycraft, girls, Prairie Lake girls and boys coach.
And Brian Luke, Stillwater boys and girls.
Jen Marshall, Farmington girls. Hope you're there, Rory.
Justin Haycraft, Prairie Lake boys and girls, and boys president last meeting as president.
Congratulations. All right, you got a couple documents in front of you. You have our agenda, and then you have our financial statement from last year. We'll start out with the confirmation of this year's routine dates, and Chris, I'll let you explain those dates and talk a little bit about the process we went through.
Okay, just a little bit about the girls' season. We had made an agreement with the university to originally have the True Teen date on Saturday of MEA weekend, just like it has been the past few years. And they were the aquatic staff was all for it, and they put it forward on their master scheduling calendar, and parking services came back and said no because there was a football game on campus. In the past, we were always told no right away, but the university was willing to do that, or I should say the aquatic center and the aquatic staff was willing to do that, but parking services put a kibosh on that just because of the lack of parking at the university. And they gave us a few options, and one of which was Saturday, October 27th, which is traditionally conference championship meets for conferences around the state, October 25th, and then the other two options were Wednesday and Thursday of MEA. Friday was excluded in those choices because the Gopher swim team is hosting Wisconsin on that day. So we put out a survey, which everybody should have gotten, sent it out to all the coaches across the state, what we had, and the overwhelmingly choice was to go with Class A on Wednesday and Double A on Thursday. I know that we have flip-flopped those particular classes, usually Double A first and then Single A last, but that was the way that it came across in the survey, and that's what we went with. And that will be a 6 p.m. warm-up and a 7 p.m. start, so it will be a little bit later than usual, but with having to meet at that facility, that's what we...
Do you recall the results of your survey?
Yep, I'm going to pull them up here just 1 second.
I did add both of those dates to the association calendar too, so it's out there.
Okay.
And did you say that was MEA week?
Yes. Yes. Okay, we had 62 responses total from all the girls coaches in the state, which was a fairly good assessment, and most of them were done within the first week that the survey was sent out. And let me get down here. 50% chose the option of what we went with, which was the Wednesday for Class A, Thursday for Double A. 31% went with the Wednesday AA and Thursday single A, and then 21% went with Saturday, October 25th.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Appreciate you taking care of that, getting that done. So this is going to become more problematic with the changing of the conference and the additional teams in the Big Ten conference. So we may be going to a weeknight meet for the girls more often now in the fall. That's kind of the upshot of the whole thing. And that's going to be more problematic. Confirmation of section posts in schools. This was done at the business meeting in the spring, and this is what's on the Google document. There may be some changes in coaches. I know, for example, that Rosemont's going to be having a new coach.
Blaine also has a new coach too.
Okay, so let me make a.
It looks like you have the right name on here, so.
Yeah, I went to the league website
Yep.
and I put in what's in there.
We may be hosting our section at our pool.
Yeah.
Apple Valley will still run the meet, but I did talk to Scott about
Oh,
that.
that's a nice. Thanks for doing that.
Yep, he was very open to it. He's
Oh,
just
so
clearing it with his boosters, I guess.
Yeah, they just want to make the money.
Yep.
Okay, so we may have.
that Rosemont coach was announced too.
It's not posted yet.
It was announced in the, this week.
Okay, so it'll be in this week's paper.
No, a month ago.
Oh, really?
Obviously,
Rosemont's
All right.
swimming fair telling was
this gave us a
that
lot.
East Ridge assistant coach or something like that.
East Ridge is in. So
No, they still have Tammy on the league side.
Yeah, they still have Tammy on the league site. So if you find that, let me know.
They told me that just last Saturday.
All right. And there's some new people on here that haven't hosted in the past, so I'll be in touch with them and get them a full set of instructions. So that
Yeah,
I was concerned.
Proctor is new, it looks like,
No.
for girls single A. Detroit,
Morris is new.
yep. And they've been an active participant though in the
Mhm.
meet. Looks like that's a new name in Detroit Lakes.
Hastings is new.
No. Well, new host.
Yeah, new host.
And then what about Elk River AA?
Elk River's hosted, but not with this coach.
Okay.
But if Luke's there, it'll work out. I know. We'll be fine. Lynn Newton is new, but an active participant. And Blaine is new.
Blaine, yeah, Blaine.
For the boys. Sorry. So then those.
Jake Kemna.
St. Claude Tech.
Jake Kemna. Kemna.
St. Claude Tech is new, has a new coach like a year ago.
Yeah, she's only
Yeah.
been coaching for a couple of years. Yep.
Coach
So she's
Jack.
not-
Jake Kemna.
J-E-K-E-K-E-M
N-A.
and A.
At Gmail.
That's the new Rosemont coach?
Yeah.
Well, that was in the article? It's girls.
It's on the website.
Oh, that's cool.
That's for girls only,
Girls
right?
only.
Yeah, Tammy Silver.
All right. Thanks for that. That's great. All right. Talk a little bit about finances. You got a couple of documents there, so you know what's going on. You got the breakdown, so you can see what the report is that I do each year. And I can go back to 9 and 10, and I did do reports before that, and I think they went to Utah. They were not as elaborate, and they were not as profitable because those early years were tough, and we didn't have full sponsorships. But I had a computer crash, so I no longer have those from going back that far. But this is realistically what we've cleared each year in the True Team after we have our sponsorship, and in those early years we didn't get the money from the entry fees either from the state. We made that change after Minneapolis was having problems paying us. We were supposed to originally get a percentage of their profits, and that wasn't happening, so we went to the taking the entry fees. So that's where we're at. Elsmore believes they can do better next year. However, I was very pleased with the amount of money they were able to bring in and bring us some consistency. And you can see the total revenue that we've generated to the association has been over $38,000 in just the last 4 years, which is pretty significant. The above money has been used to subsidize a portion of the awards price to the section meet host teams. The reason we've done that is there's smaller sections who have a hard time running at a profit. And if they lost money, we would lose those host teams. In particular, like Spring Lake Park, who sometimes has only had 3 kids, 3 teams show up with their team being one of them. So they'd only have 2 entry fees. And 2 entry fees won't cover officials and won't cover their awards. So we try to keep things pretty reasonable as far as expenses go for those teams. The other thing we've done is we know that these funds have gone to fund the Coaches Association annual scholarships and to generally increase the Coaches Association's general fund. We know that we are very susceptible to weather and other things that happen. So, for example, we had a boys true team section meet where a number of those meets were unable to be held, and we had to kind of eat the price on some of those awards and things, and it was very difficult for us. So ideally, in our general fund, it would be nice to have enough money to handle our annual affairs for our Coaches Association, to offstage, for example, if we had a snowstorm on the night of the banquet. And in the past, that would have been very challenging for us because we had a lot of people that used to pay at the door, and we had people that used to pay by check, but now they pay in advance, and we tell them that there's no refunds right up front, and that helps us quite a bit. But generally, what's the total cost involved in putting on the banquet? Jen, do you have a ballpark?
I have the documents here, unless Jen, you know off the top of your head. But I mean, everything you're saying, Rick, is absolutely valid, and something to just discuss, because I think the True Team obviously is a great thing for the association and everything that we do. One of the things that I had brought up to this discussion is Kate gave me the financial statement for 2013, January 1 to December 31st of 2013. We lost $2,184.38. Thankfully, the True Team meet got us so that we only lost that much. We lose a lot of money on the banquet. And I have the prom center invoice here if I can get it to come up. The thing that we talked about at the clinic was changes, and as an executive committee we met and discussed things that we could do to make up some of our losses, like eliminating the state meetings, saving money there, bringing Kelly and the U coaches into the clinic instead of having them the night before the state meet, things like that. We can save some money, but we're still losing money. So the banquet invoice this year, we paid $14,990.63 to the prom center. That doesn't count the door prizes, awards money, and other things beyond that. I think our total bill, Jen, was around.
Is somebody doing a line item on that event?
Yeah, I mean, I do on my side. The problem is I never see Doug's. I don't know if he just sends it to Kate.
So I'd like to recommend that somebody do a line item on that event so that we know, and then that way we would know what we need to charge.
The biggest
that event needs to be self-supporting.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that we lost.
Well, we
Apparently not.
We lost money this year because of the additional seats. They had to rent extra tables that they charge us for. And I don't want to go too far off topic because this is obviously a True Team meeting, but we've got to figure out where we can, because $2,000 a year, we're not going to be sustainable for a long time. We paid an extra $500 in table rentals, and we didn't meet our bar minimum, so we had to pay an extra $230 there as well. So
at the prom center, can we just eliminate that bar? I mean, what do we pay for that, anyways?
Well, we paid an extra. Our bar minimum is $400. We didn't meet it by $170.
Can we eliminate that? Because we eliminated the bar at when we used to do the coaches meeting at the whatever it is now, the
hotel there,
Union or whatever it changes all the time.
The way I see it is our organization basically has about We have 4 things we need to have financial statements on.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have a true team financial statement, which you have in front of you. We need a banquet financial statement. We need a financial statement on the clinic, all right? Now, we have to subsidize the clinic for coaches' education, I understand that, but the banquet really needs to be self-supporting through ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one is officer spending. You know, what our officers spend on the things they do, right? And all 4 of those reports should be transparent, and they should be available to the membership to see where we're at. And you know, and each should have their own source of income. The clinic from the fees that the coaches pay to participate. You have the tickets that are sold to the banquet, and there's a lot of expenses there, including the awards and the flowers and things like that. There also then needs to be for the officers, and basically they have the membership money, and obviously what we've been doing with True Team and the things, and if other entities are going to contribute towards those scholarships, you know, are they purely True Team scholarships, or are they association scholarships? Because right now, the way I see it, they're basically True Team scholarships, because that's where the funding is coming from at this point in time. Because we're the ones that we're putting on the table. And the number one concern I had going into this was that we couldn't afford to lose money. We had to have a positive flow to make things happen. So everything we did early on out of the gate was to make sure that we were going to generate enough money to cover everything. And I think we've done that. And I'm proud to say that we have.
So just to answer the question, All-State Banquet, according to this, for 2013, the administrative fee was $1,200, facility expenses $14,284, other All-State Banquet $8,744.74, total All-State Banquet $24,228.74. I believe we brought in $20,000 in online registration.
I got my report here.
What's the other for $8,000?
It just says other.
Is that the prizes probably?
Not that much.
Well, I mean, what's the other for 8,000?
Just says other All-State Banquet.
So is that like clinic
Who is
fees
that?
for speakers or something? Or?
That could be because there isn't anything about the clinic on
Yeah,
this.
it's probably,
The only-
it's probably
the only
all
thing I-
virgin.
All into one.
The only expense I was missing was the flowers. And on my side, everything not including the flowers, we were $2,132 in the bread.
It would be nice if somebody could put that package together so we know what we're talking about when we get into our section rep meeting next year, and maybe even get that up so people would know what's going on. And that way people wouldn't feel bad about paying another $2 for their ticket and where they're at. And we could get rid of the bar, and there's a lot of, we could micromanage, but I don't think that's the point of where we're at today.
Right.
But it'd be nice to know those things. And
Is it 38,000 before? Is that money in the bank? Is that profit?
Well, we've given out scholarships.
We've given out scholarships. We do have a balance. I think that the last time when we met, we were in the neighborhood of $25,000 to $30,000 in our account.
In the bank. Okay.
Yeah, in the bank for our association. Yeah. And last year was the first time we had spent more money than we took in. But I can give you a little lead on the clinic and for the clinics and the banquet. One of my parents is an employee of Plantronics, and they do electronic devices. And he told me that he would be willing to get some donations for door prizes, and which kind of sparked the idea of maybe we should be calling and asking for donations for door prizes rather than just going out and buying them. You can see at Best Buy and Costco and Walmart, places like that would be willing to do that, because that would
Well, or even for the flowers, or, you know, find a local. Well, I mean, Roy's wife did it. But put it to say we're going to put it in the program. You get
Right.
free advertising for your donation of
Right.
flowers or whatever.
But I was thrilled that he told me, he says, you know, and he looked at me and he says, you guys, I know that'd be fantastic. He goes, you're not asking for donations for that? He goes, you should.
I think Doug can do that.
Yeah.
No, I think that can go with the title, yeah. There you go. So that's something to bring up and talk about. It's an idea. So I got one hot lead right now, and he might be able to send us in a couple other directions as well. All right, so that's kind of where we're at. Now let's talk about our section and state meet issues. We know we have issues with scheduling at the University of Minnesota, which Chris talked about earlier. Our current entry fee at the section level is $95, and we purposely have kept that low because we wanted to encourage people to attend True Team, and the idea was we didn't want anybody not to attend the meet based on the cost, but that now is substantially lower than what most schools pay to go to an entry fee. And so the question is at this time, should the entry fee remain the same or be increased? My general feeling is that it's maybe time to make an increase there, and because we would like our section teams to be more profitable, and we don't have to have a large increase, but I think it would help the section teams to be more profitable. And I think the teams that are coming to True Team are coming to True Team because they make a decision. I don't think it's a financial decision to attend at this time anymore.
For most kids. I wouldn't say that's for the same for all, but most.
For most. So you think there's a need to hold that
I
line?
say 99%. It's not. No, I'm just saying 99%. It's not
Right.
financial. But what is the cost of the state meet entry fee?
150.
150. We raised that last year.
Right.
125.
What's it cost to go to that movie zone?
175. And I'm not sure if he
We're
was.
making money off True Team.
I think not this year, but next year you talked about
We're
raising
fine.
it to 200.
But the section entry fee goes to the section.
But I know
Not us.
like to go to a, like, I don't know, most would just, I know Richfield for their invite is $130.
Yeah, okay.
Seems it's kind of standard 125 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything seems to be 125 to 130.
Rory says flowers are $450.
Okay.
Who's watching?
What is?
So the
The
flowers.
flowers were $450.
He's
All
just
right.
catching up with us. He's buffering.
Well, if people are paying a lot more to go to an invite, but they don't get the award, you get a True Team
Yeah.
session.
Right, that's true.
So would 115?
Well, Scott always charges everybody 100 for ours. I said, Scott is 95. I don't care. 100 is easier. He sends it up for 100.
Typically, Dinah.
I think if you say 120,
I don't think
most
anybody's
coaches don't even know. They
yeah.
just turn it in. They just turn it in, so they pay it. They
Yeah.
don't say 120.
Right.
You know,
All right.
they're not going.
So,
Big discrepancy now between sections and state. though, so
Right.
that's-
right, and but I think there's a big difference between swimming at
Oh, yeah.
Rosemont and swimming in the University of Minnesota pool too. Maybe not from Carter Lake to the University of Minnesota.
We have great pool covers.
Right. Can I do my?
Be careful,
can
you
I-
don't know who's watching.
Yeah,
Can I do
exactly.
my Jesus impersonation and run across the top?
Broadcast viewers.
All right, do we have a motion before the floor on the section entry, please?
I'll make a motion to raise it to 120.
I'll second that.
Discussion, could we leave it
Discussion.
up to the hosts to decide within a range?
I think we should be consistent.
Yeah,
The only
I
thing
think
I
so
just-
too.
I would throw out is that's, what is that, a 20% increase?
That's maybe a little large.
25%.
$25.
5%. Yeah.
A little more than
Yeah. Right, it's not out of the ballpark with what we pay for general invites, but
Shouldn't the question be, I mean, our section hosts making money to, are they making an adequate amount of money? It really depends on how many schools are going there. If you have 8 schools, 95 is probably fine. If 4 schools show up, that's the problem.
How about we just go $10 this year? And then we
105.
revisit it next year. That's still over 10%.
Do we want to hear any of this 120 first?
We can amend it.
Okay.
Me. Are you fine with the amendment?
Yeah. You fine with second?
Yep.
Can we get a motion? Can we get a motion for amendment?
Motion to amend it from 120 to 105.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Seeing no discussion, call the question. All those in favor of raising the section 15 entry fee to 105, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
No, you're doing great.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'm proofreading for you.
Okay. Section meet awards. The current price for the True Team Awards is $7,861.50. Quick math, dividing that by 34 comes down to 34 meets 30 section meets and 4 state meets. Basically means that the award packages average out to $231.22 each. Last year we invoiced the section meet host for $190 for those awards. So the question is, we need to address, should we invoice remain the same, be increased or decreased? If we drop that price $20 to the sections, we would have $600 less dollars in income for the association. And if we dropped it $40, that would be $1,200 less. And the same would have to be the case if we increased it by those amounts. If we increased it by $20, we would pick up an additional $600. If we increased it by $40, which would actually put it over the cost of the awards, we would pick up an additional $1,200. Any discussion?
Do we feel it necessary to subsidize awards for the section meets? Where
The section needs to make, I mean, the True Team is making money. The True Team is supposed to subsidize the rest of what we do, and we get more money out of the True Team. If we want those other things to support themselves, then I would say we wouldn't want to charge the hosts more money.
It appears to me that we were $9,000 in the black as an association. I don't think we need to take more money from the teams that are hosting. The teams that are hosting are doing us a favor by hosting, and we want them to be profitable. In our section, where almost every team participates, I don't care what I pay for my awards. It's not an issue. It's not a concern. We can more than handle it. I am very concerned about places like Spring Lake Park, where they have 3 teams show up. You know, and if we start charging $230, $240 for awards, and they're looking at another $250 to $350 for officials, you know, they're barely breaking even if people show up to watch the meet.
We just increased the fee to $105 so the section teams can make more money. It seems to totally go against it if we raise the 190 up. I mean, it's just, let's move on. That's my opinion right there.
Well, my opinion is based on the fact that we have Elsmore now as a year-in, year-out sponsor who's going to share that percentage. My idea is that we actually reduce the amount that we charge.
200 or something like that.
reduce it?
Reduce it.
Bring it down.
I'd like to drop it by $20.
Sort of 170.
I'd like to drop it to 170 because we're in the black. We're doing well.
What did we charge this year?
190.
Oh, I thought it was 231. We didn't charge.
No, that's how much it cost us.
What if we charged, I'm from the school, and we have to get all the bad ideas out to get to the good ideas. Well, what if we charged the host team $40 per team, up to not $40 per team, it'd be
20.
$20 per team, or something
Up to 160.
up to 160 or 170. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that
Based on participation.
yeah, it's kind of a almost like a profit sharing.
So then
idea
that
or
would
something
be
like that?
their subsidy.
Not a bad idea.
It's a sweet idea. I'm gonna save that from the treasurer standpoint. That might be a nightmare. Because how do you keep track of how many, and I mean, that's a nightmare for her. Could be. Because we already have problems with people paying that, which is kind of our next issue to talk about. I think that's creative thinking. But I'm not so sure it's,
That would definitely protect those schools that only get 4 teams that show up too.
right.
If you did, I mean, if the cost is $230, if you did it, $30 a team, then that's up to 8 teams. That's $240, right? So for the schools, like when we host too, we have
But there's
full
not that
court.
many schools that have 8 teams that show up.
So I guess we probably need to know how much that would.
Right.
What if you followed those lines though and just said if you're over 4 schools, you pay this much, under 4 or under, you pay, what would you say, $40 per school?
I'm really not in favor of that because it would be a nightmare to keep track of. From a treasurer and mill money standpoint of who paid, who didn't pay, what that dollar amount was. I think what we have now is a plan that works and subsidizes what we're doing.
And they can still ask for, any host school still has a right to ask for subsidies from the
Yes, they do.
association if they need it.
Yes,
I was going to say, what if the host school is allowed to petition to?
it's already there.
Is it, do they know that?
Yes.
They all know that?
All we have to do is go to the webpage.
Do we know if anybody asked last year?
Nobody did.
Okay. Well, then there's no need.
And knowing that the last 2 years we've made over $9,000 just from this meet setup, the true team setup altogether. I mean, dropping cost of award seems like a good idea to me.
All right.
What happens if we drop and then next year we raise it again?
Well, I think you have to respond to what's happening in your finances. If we drop, we can say to people that we're getting $9,000, we drop. And if we can't generate the funds we need to run our organization, then we have to come back and be honest with our people and say so.
$20 a meal, what would that be? 320 or
Maybe
160?
$600.
Would be 640.
There's 30 meets, and then the other 4 are the state meets.
Right.
I'm not a math guy, but works out to be 600.
All right, so do we have do we need a motion before the floor? Are we going to keep it the same, or are we going to reduce it? Or
All the motion you reduce by 20.
I'll second it.
From a discussion standpoint, I'll look to you, Jen, since Doug isn't here.
Good, thanks.
Do we need to then start discussing how to change the banquet and clinic and
To
have a
make
separate meeting so that we can cover everything? I don't think we can go over that necessarily at the section rep meeting because it gets pretty late in the year. Okay.
You do that at your winter meeting.
we do that at your winter meeting?
Another side meeting.
Ad hoc committee.
Well, yeah, we may have to get some ideas together and see what we can come up with.
There at one time was actually a meeting where we did banquet planning.
Not to belabor the discussion, we heard loud and clear at the clinic that people don't want changes to the banquet and they don't want it limited in size. So we've got to be creative in some way, unless we limit it and eliminate some of the other things that we can get donations. So,
Well, that's good to get that. All right,
Do they?
any further discussion?
You all in favor of that?
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Same sign? Okay, good. All right, we need to talk about late fees. We have a number of people who are not paying promptly, and sometimes very difficult getting them to pay it all. And we'd like to put a little teeth in that and come up with like a net 30 or a net 60, and then a late fee that would be added to that.
I'd say net 30, final warning at 60, and then you don't host again for 2 years.
Now let's put a
You need a,
we need a fee.
just like
Well-
an entrance or something.
I do have a question about this because some schools, their process is slow. I mean, I think it takes I'm speaking from my standpoint. We put it in, and I don't think we paid for maybe a month and a half. You guys would know more, just because it takes that long to get that bill through.
This is state media somewhere.
No, you're talking about
No,
The awards.
The awards
So I don't know. Are we
and state-
late?
and
We
state
always
entry
pay.
fees, and state entry fees.
One
But
thing,
the process through the school
You're right,
system,
schools are slow.
they're slow. So you gotta. What type of timeline are you?
I think
If the athletic director is sent the bill from our association and the athletic director doesn't pay it in a timely manner, I mean, if it takes 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months to get the fees in, at that point you're going to be charged extra.
Okay, you're talking
We're talking
late months,
kind of
right?
It took our, but
Yeah,
each
okay.
district is different.
Right.
Well,
But they shouldn't take longer than a month to
2 months.
pay an invoice.
2 months.
So give them 2 months, and that's plenty of time to pay.
one thing that I hear frustration from Kate on is the lack of communication. It maybe isn't so much that the payment doesn't come in yet, we want that to come in, but I've heard from her is that she'll send emails to people and she'll get no response whatsoever, and then we don't even know if it's being paid. I mean, in your case, if you say, hey, did this get submitted? Yep, it got submitted. Our district is slow, we can check on it, it's going to take 2 months, at least then we know it's coming.
Well, it's just not our district, it's a lot of
Right,
districts.
right.
Because they,
I mean, ours
we all
is
know
same
they have these
I know in our district,
weird billing procedures.
they
so-
do that type of payments once a month. So if you turn it in on the 11th and they did that on the 9th,
Yeah.
they're not going to get to it until the next 9th of the month.
Right. But at least there's communications.
Right. High school. Because I'm frustrated.
There has to be something else.
I would set the timeline at like 2 or 3 months, depending on what you think you're comfortable with, and then if it's beyond that time period.
90 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say let's go net 60, and then and after 90 there's a fee. And I think it needs to be substantial.
How do you enforce that?
You
Yeah.
re-invoice them with the fee on there.
But if they don't pay it the first time around, what's gonna?
Well, then if they won't pay the fee, then we take away their right to host.
Can we host right now? We know who the hosts are. Can we invoice them right now after July 1 for the awards for next year?
Yeah, Kate can do that. Kate's really prompt at that.
When
She
is the
generally
invoice
has
due?
the invoices
What's
out
that?
before the meeting.
When is the invoice due, though?
Usually 30 days.
Well, but some people may not have the money until they host the meet.
Right. So, you might want
It
to-
depends on if the
Yeah.
school.
Kate always sends the invoices out the week before the meeting even occurs. She's really efficient.
I mean, if they can get a sheet that just says, here's what your bills will be, then they can plan ahead and then invoice them the week before. I don't think you need to invoice them this early, because that would get lost somehow.
Okay. Well, any idea what the fee, the penalty fee should be?
$50.
Wow.
You think that's a lot?
I do. When it's $150 entry fee into the state league, you're going to pay an extra $50. That'll get their attention.
Maybe they'll pay it then.
Menards get you for it.
Yeah.
Well, they do the standard business.
Right.
Standard
$30
business-
$30
Standard business practice is 2%.
Menards.
compounded
I
monthly.
don't know, man. I get a $50 bill, you get a $30 charge. Yeah.
Or maybe, yeah.
Gee, I don't know, didn't know that part.
No, I did that once, it screwed up. They go, you got a year with no interest?
Yeah.
You think they might warn you? It's like down in the corner down here in like micro print. Oh, by the way, this is due.
Go fast, the year.
That's the last time I do that.
You're sitting down-
You had to bring your rebate check. Tax. They took your 10% back
It
from you.
goes on, it's like this whole bill. And it goes, you owe, your normal bill, just down here, like, and oh, by the way.
So they give you a free T-shirt when you make that?
Yeah. It's not free with rebate. You guys don't get these?
No.
What? Yeah. 3 at a time.
This meeting's still.
Gotta get me over there, look over. You're on this whole darts thing, you get the shirt on. So that's not a free shirt after all.
Well, I called them on that one. They on the micro print. They said, okay, fine, this time only. But don't worry.
All right.
I would propose $30 because that would bring your awards fee up to 200 and then your state meet fee up to 280, right?
Okay.
180.
It's 150?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Is that a motion?
Sure. $30.
Motion, late fee, $30 on awards, section awards,
And state meet fees.
and state meet entry fee.
And I'd give them 60 days to pay it, I guess. 60 days after.
Net 60, no late fee. After 60 days. Late fee. No $30. That's what the motion is.
Kate probably sends that to most coaches.
She actually sends it to the coach and the AD. Yeah.
The coach. The person that writes the check might not even know that they need to write the check.
Right.
That's
But
why
she
it goes
does,
to both.
that's why she sends it to the coach and the AD. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion, Art, clarification of who it gets sent to. AD and coach. All right, any further discussion? Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right. Okay. Currently, our sponsors are Trapper Gym, Elsmore Aquatics, and their apparel proposal for us for this year is the same. And they believe that by adjusting their stock, in particular for the girls' meet, they found out that the sweatshirt hoodies just went like boom, and they literally sold out in the A meet before the AA meet even got there. So they were only taking orders on the AA meet, and their sales were significantly lower on taking the orders than they were with having them on hand. So they're going to more than double the amount of hoodies they have on store for the meet next year, which will help us quite a bit.
Will, yeah, I mean, hoodies go on style, but will they be like holding some supply for AA, you know? Or would, I mean, it just makes sense to me. You got 2 meets coming, you want to have some for both.
Yeah, this is new for them too, and they're making adjustments to what they're doing. He assured me that there would be a plan in place for next year.
So that's pretty frustrating for the state swimming also. high school.
Mhm.
Well, that's a different,
Stuck in the
that's a,
elevator.
that's a different vendor.
Yeah. No, it's the same. It's the same vendor.
No, Ellsmore is not allowed to do the
It's
same.
the same company that supplies Ellsmore, supplies the state high school.
Right, but
Signature
Ellsmore doesn't
Concepts.
get to sell.
No, they don't
Same.
get to sell, but
Right.
it's the same. I'm sure
Right,
they
so-
told Mr. Brown what they sell.
Mhm. Okay. All right, MSI still in with us, which is good. They like their association with us. We were pleased with that. And we now need to go to the scholarships where Chris will put us up to.
Okay, we have had quite a bit of, I would say, participation or more applicants in the scholarships as we've grown and the word has got out a lot more. This year was the first time in all the years that we've done it that we've had more male or boy applicants than female, and which was kind of reassuring. And the thing that
What do you
is,
ballpark the number of applicants this year?
I think it was 26 total. The first year that we started, we may have had, if we were lucky, from what I recall, around a dozen. So we've
And we've had growth every year.
We've had growth every year, and it's been a good mix of outstate and metro athletes, and from the way that we do it with the A and the AA. So it was pretty evenly as far as the applicants went this year, with male and female from both A and AA and metro and outstate. So one school in particular, I won't name them, but they had every senior, I think, from their school apply. So.
Okay. And have you received any thank yous or feedback for?
Yes, I did get one this year from the young man from Minnetonka that got it, James. And I remember the first name, I don't remember the last name, but he was very gracious, and I can forward that email to everybody here.
The parent organization requires a thank you to
Okay.
be written, and they like to put the thank yous in the coach. I think that's something we should add to our app, that recipients will write a thank you to the coaches. And that's for the newsletter.
Right? You can do that.
I want to comment. When I looked at the website under scholarship, and I don't remember how far in advance of the banquet this was, but it didn't really elaborate to the point where it said there's 4 scholarships, 2 male, 2 female, A and AA, and that the scholarships were X number of dollars, $1,000. It seemed to me that you might get more people apply if they know how much the money is. They're applying for a scholarship. They didn't know how much it was. It seemed to me, maybe that was, I mentioned it to Chris, I think. So maybe it got fixed before the.
Well, I know in the emails we've sent to coaches, we put it in there too.
I think the communication, I think we can increase the communication more about the scholarships. I mean, it was sent out. Some coaches I don't think really understand what we're giving away, and as the banquet's gotten bigger, I think I heard from coaches saying, wow, you give out scholarships, and I'm like, yeah, you didn't read my emails, and
Yeah.
they kind of look at me. So I think because the banquet is growing, we're getting that exposure, I think people are going to be more.
Can we tie that into when they register?
Sure.
When they register for the Coaches Association, can we somehow put a highlight?
That's the parent organization.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm asking. I'm kind of looking at
We could
Rick.
put it on the banquet clinic registration.
I would say not, but we could put it on the banquet clinic registration. Hey, did you remind your seniors to fill out their application?
Mm-hmm.
Problem with that is when they register. So it's-
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
If somebody goes to the website, that could just be up there all the time. You could see it as a.
It could be on the front page of our website.
Put in the recipients and stuff.
You could put up last year's recipients and then put the link for next year up.
Good job, Chris.
I think you should also put on there if you're going to a Division I school.
You don't
Yeah.
want.
Yeah, there was.
You don't apply
You know,
if you're,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true.
Because you don't qualify for it.
Well, you
Well,
qualify, but it doesn't really.
Well, it actually
It takes
is,
away from the
it's more
scholarship
cumbersome
money
to
of
the
the
college
university.
coach because
Yeah.
they budget.
Yeah, I had a kid once was gonna walk on at Minnesota and he couldn't, or he didn't, because he got a local scholarship. So that takes away from their scholarship.
All right, so you need to update that app for
Sure.
Todd before you post it. And wouldn't it be nice if could you provide Todd with a list of all of the
Mhm.
recipients of the scholarships and post,
Had a
Every-
history.
I
Yep.
have the history, and then post the history on the site.
I
You can
have
hear
it.
your own
You need it.
page.
'Cause I put it in the program
Scholarship
now.
is on page.
Yeah, that's good.
You didn't know this? Banquet?
Maybe I did.
Chris, really appreciate your work on that. It's really awesome.
Well, it's very nice to read the essays. You know, to
And that app,
you get a really different perspective on what we're doing.
um,
You should like,
Could they be
it'd
posted
be fun. It'd be fun for us to see those.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can
for the
do it.
recipients at least?
Yeah. That
I
would
don't
really
want to
be
read
cool.
26
That's
of them.
awesome. That's a great idea.
Four would be okay. It is
What's it?
summer.
The app that I gave you, that's working.
Yes.
All right, good. There's not. So the only thing we need to add to that app is just
Thank you.
you have to have a thank you, and they should have a timeline for that too. All right, and then
Get your check.
Your
Yeah, you
You
should.
get your
Great,
check.
there you go.
You should inform them that the thank you is going to be published as well.
yes.
Otherwise, they. Somebody.
And
Write a thank you to be published in the.
no, and you should let them know. You should let them know that their essays will be the winners' essays will
Will
be
be shared.
posted. Yeah, at the Coaches Association website. And thank yous. That needs to be added to the app too. Okay. Any other items for the scholarships? All right. Any new business?
What's going on with the website? The True Team website.
Any does it?
Okay, so that's gonna stay, because we've talked a lot about moving it to the association.
What website? The True Team website. True Team.
I think it'd be good if it was linked with our association website.
Todd does have a link. Don't you?
And link it to your site, yes.
Mhm.
Hi, Mike.
You might need anything?
Say hi to Rory.
If there's a link to it, that should be.
Well, I know a couple of years ago, we had talked about closing down that, the Lakeville website, putting everything on our association website. And we go back to the minutes where that was at, but, I mean, who wants to do the work?
Todd offered to do it and do the link. The question is moving it all over and grabbing it all. I checked with her. She's comfortable continuing to do it. My booster club does pay her a fee, not a large fee, but she's willing to do it. It's a volunteer thing, and she's maybe not as immediate as she is maybe during the course of the year, but she does understand on True Team Day that we're looking for things to get posted right away. And I'm comfortable with her. The site has the history, everything's there, and I'd like to remain with her for at least one more year while I'm still in this position.
I know
It's
you
easy
had
for me
actually
to work.
asked a few years ago to move it off, because I thought you were being pressured to move it off.
It looked like our site was going to shut down, and because she was the official webmaster for our school, and then she was told that site would no longer be paid for and managed by the school, but we made arrangements to continue to keep it out with her. So that's where we're at. And I'm going to say that next year is going to be my last year in the classroom, and I am going to retire. I intend to coach at least one more year of all 3 seasons, and then begin to pare back at that point in time. And so therefore, it's time for people to talk about who's going to do this job, and starting next year at this moment.
Not it.
Huh?
Not it.
Nosy enough.
Offense, I just don't do it.
No, there's several people. I think Jeff would do a good job. I think Chris would do a good job. They've been with us from the beginning on the whole thing. Brian could do it. I mean, people who've been there from the beginning would obviously have the full course of the history, and it's not to say that somebody younger couldn't step in and want to do it. But that'll be a decade plus, you know, because there were 3 years of meetings before it actually became a reality. So the first one was 04, 05. You know, still participate as a committee member, but I just, it's time to start making decisions about it. I love it. I care for it deeply. And I'm happy that, but I think 10 years is strong enough to continue on its own. So I won't leave it if it's going to die. But,
I don't think it will
You
die.
never should have said that.
He's gone.
You never should have said that.
We don't have to worry about it till next year.
Yeah,
I think
something to think about.
I think it's something to talk about at your state meetings, so that people know, when you have those meetings, and maybe your section rep meetings, just put it in the ways that we're looking for somebody to step in and take over. So,
Well, and I think, I mean, I guess, I don't know, speak for everybody, but, thank you, because I know it's been a true passion of yours, and it's been something I think that has just to see the dynamics of our sport change because of the meet. I think it's really helped and helped progress our sport to get a lot better. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure it hasn't always been fun.
Yeah.
There's been some crazy times. That snowstorm was maybe one of the worst. And there's been times where, you're making decisions based on what you thought was best for the sport. It's hard. As a leader in the organization, you have to put the organization above your hometown and where your school is, and you have to and sometimes you have to think beyond that, even to the parent organization. And I like to think that we have people that do that and have done that and have worked hard. It's a thankless job for that role of being a leader, and more than anything, you're a servant. And I think that's what's made the leaders in our association so special, is that it's been servant leadership. And there's a lot of late hours and a lot of time involved. But thank you to all of you who have given your hearts and minds to True Team and believed in it and made it something wonderful for the swimmers in the state of Minnesota. And I agree with you, Chris. I think it has changed our sport dramatically, particularly for the teams that have embraced it. Thank you. And I've seen no other business. I call for adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
I need a first. I'm not.
I'll make a motion
This
to
is the
adjourn.
quickest routine meeting I've ever been a part of.
Well, the record on this is that we didn't talk about that.
Hey, we haven't adjourned yet.
Oh, wait.
I will make one announcement about diving. The proposal did pass, if you did not
Yeah.
hear that. So the Class A boys will have 4 divers advancing to the state.
Nice.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so.
I wordsmith well, I guess.
Yeah. So, there can be other discussion on that if you want, or background.
Thank you to the officers for bringing that forward. I know that you didn't feel that it was particularly going to be welcomed by the Minnesota State High School League, but your job is to represent your coaches. And quite honestly, the A coaches figured it out and went to the people and talked to every person personally before they walked into the meeting. Tim Johnson kind of headed that up, and he made sure. Last time we tried to run this, we missed the ADs. And the ADs, it got past the section committees, and the reason we missed the ADs is that the form that the league provided us didn't show us on the scheme that the ADs had the final say on it. So this time around, they got to the ADs and they made it happen. So you guys did the wordsmithing, but they did the legwork to get it done. And Tim was over the top and over the moon on the whole thing. So that was pretty cool that that happened. And I feel good about it happening. And Chris actually did, he did a little covert work inside the doors of the league to make things happen. So he's very, very humble about that. But he was talking to Lisa and the other powers of the league and basically kind of told them this would be a good thing for us. So that's an advantage that we didn't have in the past. So that's pretty cool. That's it. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn by Chris. Arcel.
I'll second it. And then I want to make a quick comment after we adjourn. It's not related to your team, but it's good for everybody.
True.
Okay, all those in favor that we adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. We are now officially adjourned.
All right, my quick comment for those of you that haven't heard about this, Swim Outlet started a deal this year. They created an affiliate program. 8% of every sale, you can create your own team site. This is my team site. 8% of every sale goes directly back to your swimming and diving account. They can buy anything on the website, put your team suits out there, whatever you want. It's 8% back. So it's a great deal. I ordered a new suit and goggles last night and got $5.62 back in my account. So it's pretty slick, easy fundraiser. Get your team suits that way. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is provide them with your tax number and you're good to go.
What's it called? Swim Outlet?
Swimoutlet.com. I think they're located out of California.